Hello, everyone. We're here again, episode 118. Yes, that's how old we feel, I think, most of the time.
yeah.
And as usual, I've got Delboy here. Thank you, as always, for being here and putting up with all this. But I'll just get into it. What have you been watching, and has anything arrived this week?
Oh, yeah. And it's not my fault today because Ian got me talking about Spider-Man. So don't think I'm the person that's made us late today because he was asking me questions, and I have to answer them. If somebody asks me a question, I have to answer them. Simple as that. So not my fault. Not my fault today. I will put my hand up on the other days. If anybody hasn't worked out already, Spider-Man is released today for its long weekend, so I've been watching the Tom Holland Spider-Mans because if anybody's been watching us over the last couple of weeks, I've been watching the old Spider-Mans to get to being brought up, and I got to the Andrew Garfield ones, so I watched the Tom Holland ones this week. So I watched Homecoming and Far From Home and No Way Home, and ready for Brand New Day. So those were watchable and they were quite enjoyable, and I can certainly see a progression in quality as you watch those films again, because a lot of it we were just talking about this, Ian and I, about does looking back on something that goes back to 2017 to now change your mind on what you originally thought? And I was just explaining to him and said, well, obviously they do, and sometimes in a bad way, but sometimes you can actually change your mind and say, do you know what? It weren't that bad. You know what I mean? Sometimes the things are gut reactions, and then people are easily led with what other people are saying. They follow a sort of a bandwagon type thing, where people will go, oh, I didn't like that film. Oh, then I didn't like it either, and all of this sort of stuff, which is, I haven't watched any of the reaction videos because a lot of people have been watching this Brand New Day and have watched it early. They've gone and they've done these reaction things. I've avoided it like the plague because I'm intending to go to the cinema before next Wednesday and Ian and I's next broadcast. So at least I can talk about it, right? Not many people ask me questions about Spider-Man. You can ask me questions, but all I can tell you is that I'm a fan. I'm an incredible
fan.
If anybody was to ask me a question on the first 200 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, and what did I think of them in the cartoons, the movies, and all of that, were they adapted well, all of that sort of stuff. If you were to ask me what issue the Punisher was in, which is 129, by the way, the death of Gwen Stacy, issue 121, the Return of the Burglar, issue 200. I can go on and on and on, right? I don't need to sometimes really think about it. Jerry Conway followed Stan Lee in regards to taking over the Spider-Man story up to issue 149, and I can go on and on and on in regards to writers. And I mean, Ross Andrew followed John Romita and Jerry it just Gene Colan, yeah. So it just goes on and on and on with my knowledge on that. But we're talking here about some things. Last week I told you that I watched A League of Their Own, but I said that I'd ordered it. It did actually arrive, so there it is. League of Their Own, the 4K. I got it in the sale. It was interesting because I've got the DVD of it, but this has got a lot of new extras. And liking the film, but not really knowing much after I'd seen the film, I didn't know there had been 2 TV series called A League of Their Own. Right? There was one in 1993, which was a failed comedy. Right? And there was one in 2022, which went into more depth in regards to how in regards to how even the girls' baseball league segregated blacks, which was not really touched upon in the film, apart from one scene where a black pitcher threw the ball, and I think it was Gina Davis that caught it, and she just smiled and walked away because she was in a stand of her own where she couldn't actually mix with all the white baseball, all the people that came to watch the girls. So yeah, that's a big part of of the history of that league, but not really shown in the film. Probably not wanting to alienate is probably what that is. So that's enough of that one because we talked about it last week. I really, really enjoyed my time watching Falling Down, the Arrow release that's just come, the 4K. Lovely film. It's exactly as I remembered it. Duvall was a fantastic actor and played a great detective on his last day. If you remember rightly, it was on his last day. And there's Michael Douglas walking out from his car and going through parks and everything, and everybody is just sort of like arseholes around him, and you second guess, is it Michael Douglas that's the bad guy, or is it the people around him are just absolute shits, which is what this film is all about. Because he wasn't a really likable guy because he was separated from his wife and he wasn't allowed to see his daughter or something, wasn't he? He made several phone calls along the way trying to get to things. So Falling Down is a very interesting film and one I like going back to. And I must admit, it's one of those films that I know I don't want to watch regularly. I like to be surprised and go back to it and go, oh, I wonder why I've taken so long to rewatch it. You know what I mean? Which is totally in contrast to the next film, which is Soylent Green. Soylent Green, where I watched this. I don't know how many times. I've watched Soylent Green. It's a fantastic film. It's a dystopian future, which obviously is instantly on my hit parade. And it's just interesting, isn't it? The friend that he had that died, and he's sort of like watching all beautiful images of the world, flowers and trees and all of this sort of stuff.
Mention who the actor is.
What was that? Sorry?
I didn't mention who the actor was who played that friend.
Well, I'm going to let you probably talk about it a little bit.
Well, no, I don't need to talk. No, you talk about it.
No, I'm just turning around and saying it's a lovely film.
Yeah,
because
it's Edward G. Robinson.
I don't know if I could live in a life where you go to market and you're picking up green tablet type things to survive on. You're a member of a security or a police type state, and even they are eating exactly the same as everybody else, and it's only these rich people that live in these big hotels and condos, and they've got arcade machines in their houses and all of this sort of stuff, and you've got a police type person trying to solve a crime. And he must have been torn on this because it's like, look at this arsehole living in this. And here I am going to solve this problem, this crime. And yet I live just like these other people. And I go through day to day living in shit. Do you know what I mean? I think that would corrupt anybody. But it's not about that. If you look at it, it's a very character orientated play.
And the big reveal at the end is quite shocking. It is shocking, isn't it?
It's an absolute fantastic film that I remember Brian Cox talking about it. And I just got so into how the film was made and how the story works, and didn't realize just what a character-driven story it was, because I was just looking at the dystopian nation as a whole, you know, and the shock ending. When actually you got to really, really listen to what these characters are saying, doing, acting, and all of that sort of stuff. You know, there's these people that are breaking into these condos, you know, and all that. You know, you think to yourself, oh, I know why he's doing that. It's because he's got no money. He lives in a society that's shit, so he's going to be stealing stuff to sell. But if you look at it, it'd get found out trying to sell it. So that doesn't work on that level. So what you get yourself involved in is what this green stuff is. That's what you're supposed to do. But I went beyond what the green stuff was and looked at all the characters and just thought, wow, these are like onions. You peel away one layer and another layer's there, and you peel away this layer and another layer is there. And that's what I liked about Soylent Green. Can't say any more than that. I would definitely turn around and say the 4K is a great picture. It's a less muggy picture, because what you have to remember with Soylent Green is when you're looking at the marketplace and where people are picking up their food and all of that sort of stuff, there's a smog. And that's because LA is well known for having a smog, you know, pollution, all of that sort of stuff. And so when you look at the outside scenes, they were all had a greenish tinge to it all because it's called Soylent Green, you know. And when you look at the 4K, they've color matched it. And it looks so much better because you can still make out oranges and greens through the, oranges and blues and purples through this green hue mist. Do you see what I mean? So it actually is the best I've ever seen it. That's the best. That's all I can really say about it. It really does look the best I've ever seen of it. And the one that I haven't seen, but I'm going to show it anyway because it will delight Ian, because I'm going to be watching this later this week, and that is Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, yeah.
The Steel Book of Eyes Wide Shut, which, by the way, looks lovely. It is debossed with a silver spot gloss. So the picture in there is actually a picture frame, and it is reset in with that picture frame sticking out. So actually, it really is quite a nice steel book.
Yeah.
This has a mixed, usually, expression to Eyes Wide Shut. I know it's not that mixed with you, Ian. You're quite a fan of it.
Yeah, I know there is a lot of people who are not.
That's why I'm looking forward to watching it again, because it's been a very long time since I watched it. Such a long time that I never upgraded from my DVD to any other version. So I haven't watched a 4K, a Blu-ray, nothing. And so it's been that long since the DVD release that I've seen it. Never watched it on telly, not that it's ever shown, probably because of the sexual content in it.
I know that
which always, I was going to say, it always amused me, the sexual content. Because although it's a big part of the film, it's not the thing about the film. It's about their relationship. You know, Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise, really. I remember that. And I remember everybody just commenting about the sex all the time. The sex scenes, the sex scenes, the sex scenes.
It's not as much as people actually think.
To be quite honest, I don't know why they did that, other than, well, they're married. We know this. They're, you know, and this is about a sort of like an orgy that they're at. I mean, what do you expect that's going to be going on? But that's not the story. Is about the story is not about the orgy.
Yeah,
that's what I don't get. You know,
I think there's reasons why people have looked. The orgy scene is seen because they go into it quite deep about the symbolism.
Yeah,
get loads, but that it's. I kind of agree with you, really. That is, I think people it has overshadowed the film.
Yeah,
people concentrating on those scenes.
There's lots of things that overshadow this film, and one of them, right?
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick his name is right above it, and everybody then looks at it and goes, "Oh, Clockwork Orange, 2001." We've got all of these films, that he's done that have been controversial, and we've got now another one that's quite controversial, and they look at it and go, "Oh, it's just a sex flick."
And
That's
the
not
other
shocking.
thing is,
That's not shocking.
yeah, he died, didn't he? He died about 5 days after he presented the film. So that adds sort of a mystique to it as well, because you're saying, well, you're not going to get any more. And of course, the other thing that conspiracy people like to look at is all the stuff that didn't make the film that has disappeared, because there was apparently a lot. He filmed a lot, and we don't know where it all's gone. He must have. He was a perfectionist, though. Kubrick, the stories you hear about it.
And this is why I'm really looking forward to it, and I will then talk about it next week.
Yeah.
But I just wanted, I am very happy that some people are discussing things that I'm actually talking about. Thanks very much, guys, because I always wonder if I open my mouth, do you guys fall asleep? Because I don't know. I don't reckon anybody talks about the things that I talk about. But somebody just put, sorry, it was David. He's put the Twilight Zone episode To Serve Man has that Soylent Green type shock ending. Well, it does, but when it comes to Soylent Green, I think we were used to sort of like shock endings because Charlton Heston is in obviously Planet of the Apes, the first sort of like what they consider to be the dystopian trilogy, with the Omega Man being the middle one, which is basically the last man on Earth, and Soylent Green being the third one. And although Rod Serling didn't really, I think, have much of a play in regards to Soylent Green, you can't help but not have a twist. To Serve Man, by the way, is one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes. If anybody wants to know, To Serve Man really is a quintessential. Oh my God! If you don't like this episode, I think you do not like science fiction and good storytelling.
And what I always say, like the title, I'm not going to give too much away, but the title To Serve Man is a key. It's a key. It's a clever. You go, bloody hell, that title.
There are so many that I could mention. Time Enough at Last. Nightmare at 20,000 Feet.
Yeah.
People Are Alike All Over. There are so many good Twilight Zone stories. And I think the bad rep for Twilight Zone really was the fourth season.
The hour-long ones.
And it really is for good reason, really. I mean, when you change a format from being half an hour to an hour, you really do therefore have to have writers on that can write a character that can span the full hour. And Twilight Zone was great because you never really had to know too much about the characters you were in, because they were only in it for the 25 minutes that was in it. As long as you had a reaction to what was going on, it was more about the story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The interesting thing about the Twilight Zone is that over 3/4 of the episodes were written by Rod Serling, and most of them were dictated to on his bedside table through a tape recorder, because they came from nightmares that he had. And when he woke up, he then dictated into the microphone what the nightmare was about. When I first read that in his autobiography, in his book about the Twilight Zone, I turned around and said, God help his wife. Bloody hell. What, 170 odd episodes? He wrote 3/4 of them. Most of them are nightmares, and he dictated them next to his bed. His wife's next to him. She must have been bloody, no, another nightmare, you bastard, or something like this to him. That's all I kept thinking of was, you must have been an awful husband to sleep next to. Jesus. And that mind he's got, wow.
The other thing is really quite subversive, because he wanted to write political things, and he put them into the sci-fi stuff, and these dumb kind of executives didn't really understand that. But he wasn't daft. He knew what he was doing, creating a lot about what America was like at that time.
Yeah.
And making statements about, from Vietnam War and segregation, racial stuff.
Yeah.
It's all in there. It's all in the Twilight Zone.
I mean,
yeah,
I love the Twilight Zone so much that I even have books just lying around like this, look, the Twilight Zone Companion.
Yeah.
I just have reference books and my Blu-rays and DVDs, and I just at any given moment I just go, do you know what? I'm going to watch a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
Can't give a shit. It's only 25 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just go, and then I go, oh, yeah, I remember that one. Brilliant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so many people's film careers started with Twilight Zone.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We already know.
And actors as well that we know as well, yeah.
Like I said, you've got
William Shatner's in a few, isn't he?
Well, yeah. Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, and a Nick in Time, I think it is, which is set in a diner with a small jukebox type thing and a coin.
Fortune teller kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah, there's that one. Yeah,
and as I said, the actor in Death Wish, Charles Bronson, was in the first season of Twilight Zone. He was one that was a survivor of a war, with the other side having one survivor as well, and they were trying to kill each other when there's nobody else alive. They finally come to the conclusion, what are we doing this for? And they have to live together, if you see what I mean. These are all thought-provoking stories, and that's what I like about them, because they're short, sweet, and they make you think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the most tragic one is the librarian, the bloke.
Yeah, well, Time Enough at Last. Burgess Meredith.
Yeah, it's so tragic.
What a horrible wife he had.
Yeah.
And then a major thing occurs. It's a stupid story, really, because as soon as he came out of the bloody out of the vault, it'd have been incinerated by the radiation, right? You're thinking about it, right? But forgetting all of that, to then find that he now has time to read the books that he was never allowed to do. His wife wouldn't even let him read a ketchup bottle. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
And then actually to have I don't want to ruin it really.
Yeah.
I say ruin it. How could I ruin something that's about 70 years old?
It's a great twist and a very sad one.
It's a sad one.
Yeah, it's so sad.
And people are alike all over.
Yeah.
With Roddy McDowell.
Yeah.
He lands on a planet, and they put him in a room that looks just like his home. And then when the curtains are drawn, he's in a zoo.
Yes.
And it's with a signpost outside, alien in his own habitat.
Yeah. Yeah. So creative. Imaginations. Wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Which is why then I moved on to the Outer Limits and loved that. And I've gone through life looking at all these anthology shows until you get to things like Black Mirror.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, and then I look at Charles Brooker and turn around and say, what a fantastic writer he is.
He is, yeah.
And he must be a fan of Twilight Zone. He must be.
Yeah.
Because there's just too much mirroring of, oh, wow.
Yeah.
You've got the essence of what he was doing in the 50s going on now. So anyway, that's me. I've talked for far too long. Other than I will say, yes, I am looking forward to Spider-Man. I will try and get to see it this weekend. I don't know if anybody's excited about it or anything, but if they want to ask a question, they can. But I'm interested now to hear what is going on in Tony York Corner, and and what films that you've watched ahead of Friday, when I'll know anyway, because it'll be on episode 164
yeah,
of
but there'll
what
be a
I've
lot
watched.
more as well to come. But anyhow, actually, I don't think there is a Tony York corner. I'm sorry, Tony. I keep letting you down.
Tony, what can I say? I tried to big you up.
Yeah,
And he's let us down
it's only
again.
3 films, but you know me, I talk and talk. So
But it does give me time to go and look after my mum. So
yeah.
I do look forward to looking back at these podcasts that we do,
and
so that I can listen to what you're talking about.
This first film I'm going to show you, I know you'll like, and it'll be good. But anyhow, I thought, all this talk of the Odyssey, I've been hearing loads and loads. I suddenly looked at my collection and thought, do you know what I fancy watching? And here it is. Jason and the Argonauts, 1963.
Which Denny has told me is now getting a 4K remaster.
Oh, I love this film. I think it's one of those films that you think from your childhood. Just watching this on the TV, my mouth was wide open with excitement. Just seeing it.
While you're talking about it, I'll see if I can find the thing that he told me. Hang on.
Yeah. Let's have a look. So this is 1963, and the director is somebody called Don Chaffee, who directed one of my absolute favorite films, which is 1 Million Years BC, Racco Walsh film, 1966. He also did The Viking Queen, which is great, from 1967, and Pete's Dragon. This is a later one, a Disney one, which I rather quite like. I quite like Pete's Dragon. It's a live action Disney film. It's really good. So they're just main ones that I can fall out. And of course, I've got to mention, because he's here with his soundtracks, the music is by Bernard Herrmann, which is linked a lot with Hitchcock in it and all that sort of stuff. And of course, the other name that stands out in this, and people learn, I think.
I'll just show you this. Look, there's one look. Clash of the Titans has now been officially announced as a 4K restoration.
Oh, right. Oh, this is all going to happen, isn't it?
Clash of the Titans has got it already.
This one, it's the Ray Harryhausen. I think that is just. I think as a kid, it just opened up a new world. Seeing all this film, it's perfect. It's perfect for kids and adults as well. Just seeing it all is fantastic. The people involved, actors, were not really that well known. Todd Armstrong, who hasn't got much history looking at him, and Nancy Kovac. She's the goddess. She played the goddess that helps him. But looking right lower down, I'm always looking lower down in the casts for people that we know and are hardly in it. But Honor Blackman is in it. She plays Hera. And here he is. We like him. Patrick Troughton is in it, playing Phineas. So we've got a nice Doctor Who connection. But Patrick Troughton is in all sorts of films, and this sort of era pops up. I think, as I say, that scene, the Telos scene, is just amazing. There's so many scenes in this film when everything happens, and it's such a great film. I definitely would love a really good copy of this one.
Yeah,
I mean, this is pretty good. To be fair,
the best version of Jason and the Argonauts I ever had was a Ray Harryhausen box set on Laserdisc.
Oh, right.
Which had a huge collection of his films all on Laserdisc with a book that came with it. And I remember spending over 100 and something quid on it. And I remember putting them in and watching The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. And all of those. and just going, oh wow, these are just like I used to watch at Cinema Club. These are gorgeous.
Yeah,
And then
you see,
watching them in the bank holidays, and
I count it as an influence on me. Zulu, massive influence on me.
Yeah.
You Only Live Twice, massive influence on me. And then this, I think Jason and the Argonaut, because it just showed more possibilities of film, and I immediately connected with it, and all the stories. You know, the whole idea of the golden fleece and everything, and the gods in this Mount Olympus looking down, and it's just full of stuff to fire your imagination, and that's why I absolutely love this.
A lot of people don't really talk about Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger.
Oh yeah, the Sinbad films, which you can get on Indicator. They've actually got all those Sinbad films out, which is quite good.
Because
that's in this mold. They're in this kind of mold, aren't they? That kind of entertainment. Sinbad and Jason and Argonauts, definitely. Great films.
It's just that, when people talk of Clash of the Titans and they know that it's sort of like one of the last Ray Harryhausen films, a couple of years before that, he did the Eye of the Tiger one, the one with the with the Cyclops and the and the tiger fight, which I thought was really quite well done, even if it is. You can see its trappings in the 70s.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a number of firsts in Clash of the Titans, because you've got a mechanical owl for a start. He never really did that sort of thing. He did things like mythological beasts and things. He didn't really do mechanical.
No.
So that's quite good. And you're quite right. Doctor Who connections. You got Tom Baker in one of them.
Yeah.
So, and if you've got Pat Troughton, it's like, well, you're not far off, are you, from having so many of the doctors already in these Ray Harryhausen.
Actually, Patrick Troughton is in a lot of films. Not always big roles, very small roles often. But
if I remember rightly, Patrick Troughton was also, he was one of the ones where he's blind, isn't he, or something? And there's these winged creatures trying to get at him, aren't they? Outside this.
Yeah, there's a wing. Yeah.
That's right.
Anyhow, I really enjoyed this film.
Lovely film. A great Bernard Herrmann score as well.
Yeah. It just takes you back to your childhood and why you start to love all these films. This is one of those I would put in that list of films that got me interested in films. The excitement and everything. So
I'll tell you what, those films got me interested in how did they do that?
Yeah.
The question, how did they do that? I was always in awe with every film that I saw, like that's a clever story, that's got great acting in, all of that sort of stuff. There were only certain films that I went, bloody hell, how did they do that?
Yeah.
Like King Kong did that for the first time I saw King Kong. I went, bloody hell, how did they do that back then? You got you got a camera and it's really still in its infancy, and you've got that type of craftsmanship going on.
That's the word, craftsmanship, because you can compare this with what they do nowadays, and honestly, these stand up really well. It's a whole different way of filmmaking, but you look at these and you think these are just quality. It's absolute quality special effects, absolutely wonderful. Anyhow, so that's that one. And then the next one it's inevitable because I've been going through all these films. I've finally got to the end of the Mummy films. So this is Blood.
So is next week the Daddy films?
Actually, I'm virtually at the end of these sort of Hammer ones, but do you know what I thought I'm gonna do? I was looking. I've only got one box set though. Is I might do some at Universal ones. So I'll be interested to watch some at Universal ones and see what I make of them. Anyhow, there still probably could do some more Hammer, but anyhow, look, this is a later one, of course. This is the last. They'd given up, I think, by the end of this. They weren't going to do any more Mummy films. This is 1971, and it's but this one is supposedly, I put that in commas, based on Bram Stoker's 1903 book, The Jewel of Seven Stars. Now, this has a troubled production. It's a lot of problems in this production. The first one is Peter Cushing only did one day's filming, and his wife was very ill, and he had to go. Well, he just went to look after her. Tragically, she did die, but he went. So there was one day's filming of Peter Cushing. Then the director, Seth Holt, he died in the filming of this. So there is a director. The director dies, and what they're going to do? So what they did was that the one who's a big Hammer producer, really, and we have seen him do this kind of thing with writing and very much with Hammer. So Michael Carreras steps in and completes the direction. He decides, I'm just going to do that and direct it. And to be fair to him, you don't really notice, I don't think, any major difference in style or what have you. The film looks, you wouldn't really notice that another director had taken over. What else can I say about this film? I think by this time, the Mummy thing, that you can see why it's the fourth one, and they're kind of running out of steam, I think, a bit. I think it would be fair to say they've done so much with this. So that's, and it's 71, and Hammer's starting to change as well. Also, well, if we look at the cast, we've got Andrew Keir as the major character. Again, it's not the big names in this film, but Andrew Keir's a good one because he was in the Hammer film Quatermass and the Pit, 1967, which is a great film, follow on from the BBC series. So it's a real good sci-fi film. And he was the actor as well, as I remember, who popped up in quite a few Hammer films. I think, in fact, he was, I may be wrong on this, but I think he was playing Dr. Watson. I may be wrong, but he played Dr. Watson in Hound of the Baskervilles, which was with Peter Cushing. He's very good in that. And then, of course, we've got who's the sort of leading lady in this. And this time it's Valerie Leon, who plays, now I've got to be careful where I pronounce this, Margaret Fuchs. That's what I mean. I've got to be careful there. And also she plays a dual role. She plays that Margaret Fuchs, and then she plays the Queen, the Pharaoh Queen, Terror, her name is. And by X, she is a bit of a terror, I'll tell you. So I was looking at Valerie Leon, and she was in she had a Carry On phase as well. She was in Carry On Up the Khyber, 1968, which is great. She was in Carry On Camping, 1969, which is wonderful. I fancy watching Carry On Camping again. I must. Sometimes you get an urge to suddenly watch something. I love Karen Compton. She was also in The Italian Job, which of course is recognised, a great film, 1969. Oh, and she was in Carry On Again, Doctor, 1969. Carry On Up the Jungle, 1970, and Carry On Matron, 1972, which has got what's his name? The Randall and Opkirk guy in that one, and Sid Jones. It's where they're going into this hospital for somehow steal all the drugs and that from it all. And his name has just totally gone. I know it. I can see his face. But he's in that one. Sorry, I tell you, this is where
do you mean Kenneth Cope?
That's it. Thank you. Brilliant. That'll do. Kenneth Cope. Yep.
Well, it was that or Mike. It was that or Mike Pratt.
Yeah.
It was going to be Kenneth Cope.
Yeah. It wouldn't be him. So I say Valerie Leon. She's a really good lead, and this obviously did quite a bit for her career. And she even ended up as a Bond girl. She was in The Spy Who Loved Me, 1977. She was in The Wild Geese, which is a great film, 1978. And she was in, and I don't like this film, but some people do. Never Say Never Again, 1983. What a letdown as a film that is for me. Sean Connery returning to Bond without really, for me, being a Bond film. It's very sad. But anyhow, put that aside. So this is following a sort of, what I like about these mummy films is when you get flashbacks, and you get going flashbacks right to what happened in ancient Egypt. You get all that sort of stuff going on. And this evil sort of Egyptian queen, they discover a sort of tomb, and this Professor Fuchs is quite sort of an obsessive kind of guy. He's a bit too obsessive anyhow. And he brings back, like they do in these films, they always bring it back to England. You know you're going to have trouble when you're bringing it back. You know, it brings the whole lot, the mummy and the whole sarcophagus, you know, that they're contained in. And it so happens that his daughter has these reoccurring nightmares. This is the Valerie Leon character, Margaret. And also, she does look remarkably like the Queen. And so you get all this happening, and eventually the spirit, to simplify it, of the evil Queen starts to take over his daughter, and she becomes totally sort of evil in the end. And we get a really nice ending. The very last scene in the film is actually quite striking. It is quite striking when you see it, and it makes you think, "Oh, who is that?" That's all I'm going to say. It's really good. So I totally recommend that. Now the next one, I've decided to look back at this one. It's a film that had a lot of things. In a way, it's looking at the whole sort of the director as well, I think, for this. And does he justify all this acclaim he gets, and the all mythology around him, I think, because that's what it's become almost. It is, of course, Reservoir Dogs, Quentin Tarantino. He's one of these people who is just talked about. And I'm always sat here questioning, does he deserve this kind of status, this mythology? And you just kind of wonder about that. And this was his debut feature-length film, because I think he'd done some sort of short stories, and it's got all his style. It's all there that he uses, the pop cultural references, the music, the way he directs. Everything is there that you see of Tarantino. Is it as good as Pulp Fiction? I still think Pulp Fiction is a better film. I do. I still think Pulp Fiction is better, but um, the whole concept of this is really good, and the cast. If there's one thing that he manages to do, for all his faults, I think, some which there are faults, he always gets a good cast. And Harvey Keitel, who plays Mr. White, is outstanding. Tim Roth as Mr. Orange, really good. Michael Madison as Mr. Blonde. All the Incidentally, they've got these names, these color names, because it's in the one of the people who's behind this, who's picked them, says that they shouldn't give their real names away. They don't want to know the real names, so he gives them as colors names. That's why we get all the names. And Quentin Tarantino himself is Mr. Brown. He's in it. He's not in it a great deal, but he is in it anyhow. I think another important thing that is also very Tarantino is he films it in a very non-linear way, the story. So you get in bits and pieces, and it all comes together. You see how things are, as you move along, and the music. You get all the music is all there, and of course there's the famous scene with Steelers Wheels song, Stuck in the Middle with You, where there's this guy getting tortured to this music. He's a police guy getting tortured, which is, I don't know. It's a stylized. It's almost like the violence is kind of stylized to some extent, and you can argue that's a way of portraying violence. It never feels gritty. It never feels gritty. I mean, the basic premise of the story is that they decide that they're going to rob this jewelry shop, or as they say in America, jewelry store, and they're going to get these diamonds, and there's a shipment there, and of course it all goes wrong. This is what the thing about the film, it all goes wrong, and they all, some of them die straight away on that. And then there's one is fatally wounded, who is brought to this warehouse, and slowly they're all coming to the warehouse, those that have survived, and they're all distrusting each other. There's this tension there between them, and this is very much, I say again, the style. It's with Tarantino, I always think it's very much about the style, with the way he does it, with the music, which is interesting, looking at it now, because this is 1992. I wonder what people think about Tarantino now. At the time, he was considered real groundbreaking, really ahead. People were excited about his films. Apparently, he said he's going to do 10 films in his career. He has it all planned out, and he's got 2 more to do. And are people going to be as excited by his next film? It's interesting. Now, my personal favorite, if I was to choose a Tarantino film, is actually Jackie Brown. And Pam Grier is actually mentioned in this. He must have wanted to get her as an actress, because I noticed straight away she gets a mention. They're talking about Pam Grier in this film, so he must have been really pleased to get her. I like Jackie Brown a lot, and it's just a favorite of mine. And this one, I enjoyed it, but I'm still sat here thinking, does he deserve this reputation that he's got? And I think Pulp Fiction kind of sealed that for many people. And I think Pulp Fiction is an excellent film. I think I think it's better than this one, though. That's hard to say. This I say this is his debut film, and there's such a lot of good things in this. But it's just, I've watched it over the years so many times, and it shows the film is good because I'm still thinking new things when I'm watching it and about the characters, which I think is quite good. But as I say, I leave it to people. Do you think Tarantino deserves his reputation as this director that he has? And is it all planned? I think it is to some extent how he sees his career. As he said, he's I'm going to do 10 films, and that's how he's going to do it. And is that thing that everything's so planned, does that in many ways change what these films are ultimately? Does it make them too stylized? Can you be too stylized? They're just questions that I just throw out when I watch Tarantino, because everybody talks about him, this director, as if he is something pretty special. But is he? Is he as good as as we are led to believe? I
personally think when it comes to Quentin Tarantino that there's a huge anticipation for his films because he's very choosy on when he actually releases them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He sort of like goes, I'm in no hurry for releasing this one. It'll be out when it's out.
Yeah.
And it's where other directors have gone, oh, I've got to do one a year, or I've got to do one every 2 years, or whatever. And they choose a project and they spend all of that time doing that one film. I think Quentin Tarantino, because he does a lot of the screenplays, probably acts along that same way, but he is not bothered whether his next film is going to come out when he's 60.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, I'm not ready, or the script is just still being tweaked and I'm still working on it, or I'm still, I'm not happy with this particular character. In fact, I might take this character totally out, and that means that I'm going to go back to the drawing board. He's not afraid to say things like that. And the thing that I get upset about really in regards to Quentin Tarantino is there are certain critics that just want to goad him. It's like, so Quentin, what do you think about your reputation then, that you've gone out and caused 250 really violent crimes since your films have come out? What do you think about this? And he's going, don't goad me. He actually did a famous interview with that Bashir bloke or whatever it was. Don't goad me into these types of things. I'll talk about this film, but at the end of the day, I think he's one of these people that goes, I can see beyond what you're trying to do. People watch my films because they know it's an entertainment film, not to go out and say I'm subliminally telling people to go out and get a gun and go out and shoot people, right? Mine are stories that I want to write. If I don't want to write them, I won't. You probably won't find me writing a love story. I'm not really a romantic type storyteller. I write interesting stories about people that have been put in high situations that are stressful and that sort of thing, and they'll have interesting plots, or they'll be based around something that really influenced me as a kid when I watched it at the cinema, so I've remade it.
About that films,
or those sorts of things. And that's where I'm going. I don't think it's about his reputation. It's more about, I'm happy that he does his own thing when he wants to do it with no pressure.
Yeah,
and that's what I like about Quentin.
He kind of wants to be an independent filmmaker. He doesn't want to be trapped by Hollywood.
Yeah, he'd rather come up with the money himself and make it than he would go in trappings under a studio that wants to say, "Oh no, it's got to be this way."
Because he knows if that happens, that's exactly what it'll change his filmmaking. Because he'll have to make compromises if they've said, "Oh,
it's why
you've given us this money, we don't want this."
It's why certain other directors have got reputations as sellouts.
Yeah.
I remember when Sam Raimi is always mentioned, sell out, because he made a film that was interesting on a very low budget, and when the budgets went up and he was under studios, he changed. But in some ways he had to. But I think he also is a person that gets a bad rep because he walked away from Spider-Man 4 because of all the studio interference that was going on in the third one. He just turned around and went, "Sod this.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going away. Ain't doing that anymore." So
some directors are aware of the system. So what they do is they'll compromise. They'll make a commercial film. But if they've got an idea and want to make a film that is not as commercial, they'll still go ahead and do it because then the studio is not going to argue if they've got that relationship. So they can still make the films sometimes that they want to make that may not be seen as commercial.
Yeah.
But it's a very difficult line because, you know, there aren't a lot of flops nowadays. It's because the way that cinema is, you know, people's habits. I mean, we all want to see films do well, and The Odyssey has had a lot of good positive vibes, and we want to see that, and we want to see the new Avengers film do well. He's had a lot of knocks because it's good. Ultimately, it's good for cinema. You know, whether whether we think it's getting tired or what have you. Ultimately, we need this kind of cinema. Then helps if they're doing well. It means that they can then make films that are perhaps more independent minded, or you know, more their projects. They can do that because they've made money for the studio, and the studio wants to keep them happy. So I say, yeah, I want to make this film, and then I'll go and do another one of these. So it can work both ways. Because I know how to finance a lot of films is very difficult. You know, the money you need, even on small budgets, you know, it's not easy. It's not easy. That's why I do admire independent filmmakers. There's a lot in horror, I think, because horror you can do a lot. Who can just, you know, on very small budgets, create great films. So, yeah, it's an interesting discussion, and I've probably gone on a bit too much about that, but Tarantino's an interesting character.
Well, I'll look forward to listening to it all again in what I watched episode 162.
And you'll get more about other things as well. You may be surprised, you know, or you may not be. You think, oh God, he's bringing that out again, or what have you. But we'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, the one thing I like about what I watched and watching your particular style is that you put your own spin on it. It's like, well, this is what my interpretation of watching this film is. Whereas other people may just stick up something like this and go, oh, this was in it and this was in it, and I really like watching it as a kid. And then they'll go on to the next one.
Yeah,
you'll deliberate on what makes Tarantino, what makes Tarantino tick.
I do. But it's fascinating, isn't it? Because whatever we think of Tarantino, he's probably one of the most talked about directors. I mean, he is. He's talked about all this, even all these years. As I said, that was 1992. That film was released.
Yeah,
so it's a long time ago, but yeah, it's still being talked about, and that's interesting as a director because how many directors are like that? there's only possibly a few that we can put that are really talked about as directors. There's the big ones, yeah, but other ones, Spielberg, Nolan, all these people, they're talked about, aren't they?
It must be very difficult as well sometimes, because I remember back in the day, Reservoir Dogs, my friends were all over it. They were going, best thing since sliced bread. Look at this.
Yeah.
What's going on? You won't see anything like this since Death Wish 2 and all this sort of stuff, right? Pulp Fiction came out.
Yeah.
And instantly, my friends said it was a great film, but they actually were saying, I like Reservoir Dogs more because I can see the money that went in this, and he's put a gloss to this that takes away what I liked about Reservoir Dogs. And I was going, no, I don't see that. I do see that that it is a glossier film, but the storytelling looks exactly the same to me. It's sort of like on a par with it. It's done in a different way.
Yeah.
But the characters are still the same, these interesting conversations that are going on between characters,
And that's non-linear, because early on, John Travolta and that he gets killed pretty early on.
Yeah. And then he's alive later on, and it's because it's a different part of the film.
Yeah, exactly. And that must have fooled people thinking, right, they've killed him off early, and Samuel Jackson as well. They've killed him off early. What's going on? This is terrible. And then, as you say, and then Penny starts to drop, as it moves on the film. Yeah, which is a good way. It's just another good way of films. Not everything has to be linear. That follows on.
Yeah,
that's good.
And he didn't even go down the trope way of doing it as flashback.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Because it's a very easy trope to do, is to go, oh, this is a flashback, and so you recognize, oh, it's a flashback, so it's in the past. Right. He actually disjointed the story and put these films in different orders. Yeah. Which makes it a much more interesting and intriguing film from my perspective.
Yeah. But he's all he talks about is he loves films and talks about all the films, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's a passion, and you can tell that passion is still in everything that he does.
Yeah.
So
right from a kid, going to the cinema and seeing all these wonderful films. I think, in a way, all people that do really enjoy films, and this is the thing. I'd see on YouTube, and I'm thinking to myself, I hate it when you've got these people who all they're interested in the special editions and showing all this and that. There's no passion for the films, and films should be the major passion. That's what we're interested in. And there is no passion. But I mean, our passion for films goes right back, usually from us as a child. The first things that you see, whether it was on the TV, seeing Jason and the Argonauts on TV was, wow, what's going on here? That's how it is, isn't it? It's just, that's why you build the passion for something, I think, and an interest, which is lifelong. And if you're a collector as well, with this is where we always want to get things, their own physical copy,
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to get, when VHS, you could buy VHS tapes, with films on. I couldn't wait. Could you? I thought, oh, because you were in a laser disc, weren't you? I thought,
but I had VHS before that. Don't be silly. I had Betamax and all sorts.
But you're going, I've got to have this. I've got to have my own copy. For some reason, we wanted his own copy.
I so loved films, right, that I bought a Philips widescreen 32-inch TV, upgraded my video player so that it had 12 heads.
Yeah.
Right. And I bought all those widescreen films, that came out from 20th Century Fox. You haven't seen anything till you've seen it in widescreen, and all of that sort of stuff. And it was Die Hard and the Bond films and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I just said, yeah, Take more of my money. Here you go.
Yeah.
Look, every time I got to the end of the month, it was like, here's more money you can take away from me. I was just having it out like Monopoly money. I couldn't give a shit. I was just like going, you know, I pity my parents a little bit with that, because it was like, we ought to really, you know, increase his rent here, you know. You know what I mean? Because you know, my room was just filling up with shelves, you know, full of stuff.
Yeah, you know? And buying X rental copies was
Oh, you got the. We used to say, you got the big box version. You got the big box version. Yeah,
but I remember that moment. I went into WH Smith's, and there they were. They had these brilliant VHS tapes that you could buy, and they weren't the rental ones. They were in their own things, and it was paradise seeing all these that you could buy. You said, "God, look at those films!" And of course, I remember seeing those Star Trek original series boxes. I'm thinking, I've got to have those.
You see, when you're a collector and you were buying those, you were saying, and isn't it gonna be great when I get to tape number 70 something, right? You know, because there's 2 on each one. And I was going, you know, when I've got the 35th tape or something, I can't quite remember how many tapes there were. I think it was about 35, 36 tapes.
Yeah.
It's gonna look immaculate with all of those things. And then of course when the next generation are going out, it draws a picture.
You gotta get them.
I just couldn't wait.
No,
like when it draws the whole thing.
There's physically going somewhere. Collecting it.
I went into WH Smith and I actually put in a pre-order for. I was going, it's going to be out next month. Can you put one by for me? And I gave them my name and address and telephone number and asked them when it was going to be dropped in and delivered and all that sort of stuff, so I could come down and get it. And there was an excitement about it all. How can you get excited about going on a website like Amazon, choosing it and saying, it's pre-ordered, it'll be out on whatever day it is. And then you get the email that says it's out for delivery today. I still don't get that excitement of me going, when I finish work, I've got to get in the car and straight down, and I've got to park, and I've got to go into WH Smith and pick that up and all that, and then get back. And you know what I'm going to do? Going to watch it that night.
Yeah.
Right. I'm spoiled now to the point where something arrives in the post, and I go, I'll watch it some point. And it just goes to a pile.
Yeah.
Because the excitement is gone because there's no energy being used to get excited.
Yeah. Going out of your way to go somewhere and physically pick it up is...
There was a fear of missing out. You know, they're going to order 5 copies, and I know of at least 3 Star Trek fans. Yeah. So they're going to pick up their 3 from there. So that only leaves 2 for the shelves. I better put my name down for one, because otherwise I ain't going to get it. You know what I mean?
Because you'd think, well, they're not going to order that many, so you might miss out. Yeah,
and then you know full well that they will order it and get it in the next week, but everybody else will have watched it by then. I've got to have it. I can't have that. I got my copy and I've watched it. Did you miss that? I've got to wait till next week. Well, I'll tell you what, it's the best tape. This one's the best tape.
The very first one that came out on VHS, if we don't count those compilations, but the one that I remember getting really excited was Robots of Death when it came out. It was fantastic to have Robots of Death.
And they weren't in that price range of $9.99 either. They were bloody expensive. They started off expensive. They were like 20 or so quid, if I remember right.
And the 5 Doctors, I remember, as an early one, as a DVD as well. That was exciting, of course. Just physically getting something, buying it. We've lost that, but it's because it's so easy, isn't it? Just go, as you say, on Amazon or somewhere.
The funny thing about Doctor Who was, I when I was buying the VHSs, I always looked forward to the double tape ones.
Oh yes, yeah.
They came in these massive boxes and they all expanded out like this. And when you opened it up, you had the 2 tapes like this.
That's right. And do you remember when they released, it was William Hartnell's first Dalek story, and the difference
Well, that was on that I had on 2 individual tapes.
it was in episode format because
Yeah.
before they weren't. For some reason,
edited as movies, weren't they? Edited together as movies.
They thought maybe that people didn't want to see them as episodes, but because if you're a fan, you want to see the episode.
Yeah.
It's an important part of Doctor Who, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember
one of my favourite twin tape ones was was the Planet of the Spiders.
Oh yeah, Planet of the Spiders.
Because the spine, I think, if I remember right, and I have to think back here.
Yeah,
I think the spine had a Sarah Jane picture with the spider on her back.
Yes, I think it had that one. Yeah,
the front had a drawn picture of John Pertwee with the Metabellis free crystal and the spider, and on the back was a couple of pictures, and it was this is the last story of John Pertwee, blah blah blah, and
the artwork was fantastic. It was fantastic artwork, but I don't want to get too nostalgic because I got rid of all of them. I thought, well, get rid of all the VHF ones, and as well as space. You know, I mean, what are you going to do?
I feel happier now because I talked for 20 or so minutes about mine, and you've gone on for 40 plus minutes, 45 minutes.
Also you've been talking as well. We've been discussing. Not necessarily. I mean, there's no Doctor Who there. We were talking about Doctor Who. I don't know how we got onto that, but there we are. Anyhow,
because you started talking about bloody VHS tapes. That's why.
Well, it does.
Don't you start? I didn't start filling these things in.
You didn't start it, but you encouraged it.
Well, I did. I did always say it's like we're sitting in a pub chatting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Let's see what people have been saying. Right, so we get to the first comment, which is Tony. And Tony says, good evening, Ian, Del, and chat. Well, welcome. You've had the insult, I think. Did you get the insult earlier? You probably did.
I don't insult that. I don't insult that bastard, do I? I've stopped insulting that little sod.
And then we've got David Marshall saying, evening, everyone. Hello, David. Then we are welcome. And Tony York says, hi, David. And then David Marshall says, watched Shane with my son's Sunday evening. What a great movie, even after all these years. Oh, God, I remember Shane. It's one of those. It's a classic. It is a classic film, isn't it?
Yeah. I wonder how many people were called Shane after that film came out.
Yeah. It's. I've not seen it for years. To be honest, I've not seen it for years. I think it used to be on TV, possibly more than it is now. Probably on the TV. But yeah, I'm glad it is a great movie, David. Totally agree. And then David says, "Hi, Tony." Tony says, do you know what, David? That's the one I've never seen all the way through. Only bits on TV. All right. He says, no real reason. It just passed me by. That's how sometimes some films are. You see bits of films. You don't see all the films. And then David says, it's great, Tony. Get the popcorn and pizza in and you're in for a treat. And Tony says it's probably even available on YouTube. Sometimes they are. Tony says, Del, get a duster out on those cobwebs.
That's because of the picture in the background. Hang on. Nah, they ain't moving.
Yeah.
Bastard things.
And he says, oh, they went. Oh. There you are.
I took it off, didn't I, to show you the releases, you know.
And then Slipknot says to Tony, David, hi, how's it going? And hello, Slipknot, welcome. And Tony says, hi, Slip. And then Tony says, oh, got Soylent Green on DVD. Must give it a watch. Years since I saw it. Well,
You won't be. I don't think
well,
you'd. I don't think you'd be disappointed. I'll tell you that.
no, no. And David says the Twilight Zone episodes to serve a man as that Solent Green type shock ending. Yes, it has. Great, it's a great episode. I love it. And then Tony says, I have a Twilight Zone full series on Blu-ray, David, but only watched a handful of episodes so far. You got the Blu-ray. Oh,
yeah, but that, you see, to me, that's sacrilege, Tony. You got to sit down and watch the bloody lot.
Yeah.
Don't put something like that in, because I'll just turn around and say, "You heathen."
Yeah. I've
You
only got
heathen.
1 and 2.
You've got all these. You got all this
Blu-ray.
masterful stuff on discs, and you haven't watched that. Jesus, what's wrong with you? You snob. Go now. Start bloody watching it. What are you doing sitting here? Right? It's not even like you're a moderator anymore. Bloody go off and start watching that. Idiot.
Oh, sorry about this. Sorry, Tony. What can I say? Oh, dear. Yeah, I've only got 2 on Blu-ray. I need to get them all eventually, but there we are. But I think they're out of print now. And then David says, Tony, I bought the set for my son at Exmouth. That's good. I'm pondering whether to get the Outer Limits. Oh, Outer Limits is a great series. Absolutely wonderful.
Now, the bad news about the Outer Limits is it's so easy to get the black and white stuff. You know, the Stefani episodes from the 60s.
Yeah,
it's the 50s.
But the remake, first remake. Ooh.
You try finding all 10 or 11 seasons of the bloody Outer Limits that came out in the 90s. Yeah. Right, late 80s and 90s, and it's sacrilege because you can get those in the States. Can you get them over here? Can you buggery?
Oh, if they're there, they're listed at a inflated price. Rather, I've fortunately only got the first season of those Outer Limits, but
Tony Yorks is taking the piss now. Do you know what, Tony? Right. I've already thought of a story, right, with a shock ending where you actually get to the end of a film and watch it and actually see the end and the credits go up, right? Rod Serling couldn't write a better ending than that. The story of Tony, where he puts in a disc and watches it, right, and the credits roll at the end. He actually sees it to the end. Oh, my God. Oh, what a shock ending. And do you know what he does with it then? Puts it in a box and sends it to this Leeds bastard, right? Who then puts it on his shelf and then doesn't even do a Tony York's corner. Wow, to be quite honest, I mean, the script just writes itself, doesn't it? Really?
Anyhow, Tony says, I have Outer Limits Blu-ray too, David. Oh, so I've got the Outer Limits, but again, only seen a few times.
Oh, for goodness sake!
He's got the Blu-ray Outer Limits.
I just want to go over there and just slap him around the face with a wet trout or something. Right? So many great stories. The soldier, isn't there, in the second season, the first episode of the second season, which is basically the Terminator.
Yeah.
Isn't there? I mean, my God.
Some great stuff. And David says, well, the Rail Martian stand-up was great as well, Del.
Yeah.
And Dave Marshall says, Alfred Hitchcock Presents was also very good. Yeah, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. That was excellent. And Tony says, heard of those, never seen any. I think there's a lot of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. There is, but I don't know.
They're on all the time on satellite TV, and I do watch them. And I wanted to buy them.
Yeah,
but the actual prices of them
were ridiculous, were they?
Because they started off. Did they start off as half-hour episodes and then went to an hour towards the end? I think
Oh,
that's what happened
yeah.
because it changed format slightly. I always liked them.
Mm.
I thought they were sort of like crimey type
Yeah,
things,
they
a
are.
lot
Yeah,
of them,
yeah.
but there was some courtroom ones and that.
There's
It
a
was
good
quite
variety.
varied,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. Um, and then Tony says, must be running low on those corner DVDs. Yeah. And then Slipman says, which fictional bar in a movie would you like to have a drink in? Oh, God.
Oh,
That's a good question. I've never thought of that. That's a good one.
probably the one in Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I've always wondered what the hell was going on because Harrison Ford's character comes into the bar and he sits down and he interrogates, the owner of it, and says, I could close you down, unless you tell me what the hell's going on. And you hear the voiceover in the background saying, and now we've got our lead attraction with a snake or whatever it is. And, and you can't see nothing. And then he makes a phone call, doesn't he? And she doesn't want to come down to that sort of like neighborhood type thing. I think that would be an interesting bar to go to. Obviously, a lot of people will say the Star Wars Cantina band one, and go into that bar.
What about Guyner's 10 Forward?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that one. That's one.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that'd be good.
Yeah. So, and then Tony says, don't have Jason and the Argonauts on physical, but seen it several times on TV. Yeah, it used to be on TV a lot, but mind you, I don't really watch live TV that much, so I don't know. Perhaps it is on some channels still. I don't know. And then Sai says, hi, guys. And
Hi,
then,
Sai.
Hi, Sai. Welcome. And Sai says, hi, Tony. And then Tony says, I think Clash of the Titans, one of Harryhausen's last films, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh. And then Sai says, just got back from seeing Spider-Man Brand New Day. It's a fun movie. Oh, well, there's an out of good reaction there. That's good to hear. I didn't really doubt that it wouldn't be, to be honest. But, there we are. And then Slipknot says, do you think the anime, Akira recently, I found out that the movie is comprised of 160,000 individual hand-drawn animation cells and 8,000 hand-painted backgrounds. Wow.
Well, if I remember rightly, when Barry Norman hated Akira,
yeah,
do you remember his review? He showed here's an interesting. He said, here's a clip of Akira, which we'll be talking about next week, and it showed the biker scene, and everybody shows that clip now. And then I found out more about Akira, than I was engrossed with it because of the way it looked. And it sort of like introduced something called rotoscoping, which is it's live action and they draw over the top to give it that sort of more realistic sort of like look.
Yeah.
Which has been used in games to make animation look more fluid. You know how when animation first started, it was done in a cylinder with little slits, and you see this horse galloping, and you go, because you have to understand how the right leg and the left leg and the front leg and the back leg and all of that work, because they if you see a horse gallop, it's not two forward and two back. They actually alternate, that's how they gallop. So you understand, therefore, that when you're doing walking, right, animation tries to cheat you, because when the legs are close together, you can then actually do the same animation again, but it's on the opposite legs. Do you see what I mean? So actually, you only have to do 8 frames of animation for walking. You only have to do 4 of them, and put them in a different sequence, and you've got you have it looking smooth. So when I heard about rotoscoping, I was going, oh wow, so they actually filmed sort of like the biker scene, sort of, and then they drew over the top of it the cells, put it on painted backgrounds, which they were, and done in parallax as well, because the backgrounds move at different rates. The ones in the back distance are going slower than the ones that are in the foreground, which are going fast, which gives you an air of speed about it all. And I just fell in love with Akira. I bought a dual tape version of that when it came out on VHS. I remember that. And the last one I bought was a steel book of the 4K, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I didn't get into manga in the same way that I think our friend Muckman did.
Yeah. Well, he sent me.
I did buy things like buy things like Fist of the North Star and all of this sort of stuff, but I didn't buy things like Sailor Moon and all of this. And it took me back to Battle of the Planets and Aqua Boy and all of this sort of stuff, which were all from the same anime. You know what they classed as anime, you know what I mean? All the aqua gum and all of that sort of stuff, you know, and oxygum or whatever it was called, you know. So Battle of the Planets, what a great cartoon series if you were a kid.
Yeah.
Saw that in the 70s, thought it was brilliant. You see, you were working.
Yeah.
Right? I was watching that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I was going, oh, fantastic.
No, I didn't see that,
No. There you go. Yeah, very good, Slipknot. That's very good. I didn't know about the hand painted backgrounds, but I knew about the individual hand drawn animation cells.
Slipknot says, "I sigh," and then Sai says, "Hi," and then David says, "Anyone remember the original Jack the Giant Killer?" I don't actually. Do you remember that?
I remember the Goodies doing a parody of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's just reminded. Yeah. Rest in peace, Bill Oddie.
Yeah. It's what I was going to bring in. Was about Bill Oddie. A great shame.
Yeah.
Interesting to note that he was battling bipolar.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's why he left Springwatch, I think.
Yeah, because he kind of had a big career change, you know. In Springwatch, he was he really sort of made another new sort of career, if you want to, you know, with wildlife and that.
Yeah,
and it was a major interest. Yeah, it's very sad that. Yeah.
But when he did die, when his death was announced, I did watch Kitten Kong again.
Oh yeah. People mentioned
you have to watch Kitten Kong. It's an interesting one to talk about, Kitten Kong, because the only surviving copy of Kitten Kong is the one that they sent to France, which wasn't the version that was broadcast over here. They haven't got that. It was wiped from the BBC studios. It was wiped.
Were a few at Goodies episodes then wiped? Or a lot of them? Yeah. Like
that one. The only surviving one is the one that they sent off to the French comedy competition that they sent over there, which it won, and it was returned, and the one that was broadcast was slightly altered. It was slightly edited differently, and that's gone.
I'm surprised because Goodies was again quite a big program, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What people? And we know anyhow with Doctor Who, but it's not just Doctor Who and now the Goodies. There's lots of other things that they just wiped. How could they do that?
Yeah.
How could they do it?
BBC were idiots, though. I mean, to be quite honest, they sold it. You know, ITV picked them up. It's a shame it didn't work over there. But I still watch the ITV ones.
It's still better than no, isn't it? Yeah.
I still think one of the funniest ITV episodes is the one about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Right. With Arthur C. Clarke. You know, with all these cardboard cutouts of spaceships that come down and fueling up their spaceship with the stones and all of this sort of stuff. That's still funny. But
Yeah.
the BBC were the glory days, and the way that they did their little movies, like Eki Thump and all of this sort of stuff, it's still great. You know what I mean?
Yes. Right.
Well,
Tony,
I think one of your favourite ones would probably be the Close Encounters of the Third Kind one.
yes. Yeah. I love them. Yeah. Great.
They took the piss out of Close Encounters.
They did. Yeah. They did quite a few. Let's have a look. Tony says Zulu Jason connection. Oh, Nigel Green, Colour Sergeant Bourne, and Hercules.
That's right.
You've got a good connection there. Brilliant. Well done.
Wasn't he great as Hercules trying to throw that discus over to that island?
Oh, yeah. It's great. It is. I agree. Oh, it's a great film.
And wasn't he the one that managed to get the goo out of Telos?
Yes.
Didn't he see the heel and he turned the thing at the bottom of the foot and got the goo to come out?
That's right. Yeah, you remembered it all. So we've got a 4K coming out then, a full restoration. Yeah. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then David says Robert Shaw plays the Oracle in Golden Voyage of Sinbad, but he's not on the credits.
Not in the credits.
That happens. That is, I don't understand that. If you was an actor and you appear and you're not on the credits, you often see that when I'm doing the research, it'll say but not credited.
Golden Voyage is the one with Tom Baker, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I always thought the woman was a bit creepy in that.
Yeah. But I keep thinking from an actor's viewpoint, if they're not credited, does it make a difference? Does it make a difference in their career at the time or what have you? I don't know. Why weren't they credited?
Makes me laugh. Golden Voyage of Sinbad when you read the stories that the following day after Golden Voyage of Sinbad, he was back on the building site.
Yeah.
And then he got the gig to play Doctor Who.
Yeah, when they went into the cinema to look at him, didn't they?
He was on the building site making cups of tea for his fellow workers when they turned around and said, "You want to be Doctor Who?" I'm going, bloody hell.
Yeah. And then Delboy, no spoilers, Si, laugh out loud. Okay,
he's just gone and seen Spider-Man, isn't he?
Yeah,
the little sod's bound sure to try and annoy me, isn't he?
Tony says, seen Jack the Giant Killer many years ago, David. Fairly sure it was another person responsible for the effects in that, not Harryhausen. I don't know.
It's funny that somebody mentions Jack the Giant Killer. Somebody asked me a question about what my earliest film was watching at cinema club or outside a cinema club. And I looked through my diaries, after I finished doing the blog.
Yeah.
Do you know one of the earliest films I saw was Digby, the biggest dog in the world?
Oh, God, yeah.
Anybody remember that? Digby?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, what a stupid film that was. Right? It wasn't as bad as Condor Man. I mean, what a piece of shit that was, right? But I do remember Digby. I think it had Jim Dale in it, didn't it?
Oh, right. Yeah. And Tony says, "You're quite right. I totally agree with you." Valerie Leon and his eyes are all She is rather good looking. She does stand out. Yeah.
Oh, don't start the bloody those jokes again.
And Si says, "I wouldn't want to ruin it for anyone, Del, but I will say that John Bethanol is really good as Frank Castle." Oh, there we are. They work so well together, him and Spider-Man. I want more of them. It's in that coincidence that I was talking about Frank Castle before we came on.
Yeah, and it's really weird because they've softened the Punisher in the comics a little bit. I mean, he is a badass because there's a couple of comics called The Punisher Kills the Whole of the Marvel Universe, right? But I mean, here's a cover with the Punisher in it. Look, you'll see the Punisher at the bottom there. Look.
Right? Yeah.
But it was John Romita that drew the Punisher the first time round. I don't know if I've got a picture of that. Yeah, there we are. And he was originally going to be called the Grim Reaper. Look, Grim Reaper, the Executioner 2. Look, there's Romita's signature in the corner. You can see the skull with the teeth as his utility belt and all of that. And of course, as I mentioned before, it was issue 129. So let's see if it's a famous cover. It's a very expensive book to buy. Yeah, there we go. That's the first cover.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
There you go. But they were never friends. He understood Frank Castle. I mean, Marvel understood that Frank Castle was a vigilante and that his backstory was about is much like Death Wish. You know, his family killed, and he was a cop. So, you know, he left that life and went on a vigilante rampage type thing. That's hard for Marvel to do when you're in comics because violence is not really as much as there's lots of battles and all of this sort of stuff. You don't have people going around with guns shooting people. So he had what they call Punisher bullets. They were sort of like concussion bullets. They look like they're dead, but they're not. Right? That's how they got away with a few things. Where actually the writers really of the comics really wanted to say, "Oh yeah, he went around killed everybody." Oh, here's the cat. Look, I've got to get rid of the cat now. Bloody hell! Nobody wants to see your ass. No, I've got to go and see my mum anyway, so I'll be back in a bit. Just as it was getting good. Look, yeah, all right, you little sod. Yeah, hang on. Right, I'll see you in a.
Right. Okay, let's go to more comments. The cat is still there. Hello, cat. Yeah. Right. Then Tony says, preferred Andrew Keir as Quatermass in Quatermass and the Pit to Brian Donlevy in the first two films. I think. Yeah, I liked him. Definitely. I think I might agree. Actually. Yeah. I liked him there. And he says, don't think Valerie Leon has very big roles. I was going to say parts. she I wouldn't say she's. Yeah, what can I say about her? There have been bigger Hammer girls, but she's still there. You know, she's still a Hammer girl. But yeah, I like that. Be a part. It's a good pun, that one. I like that. And then wasn't Varily? Yes, in the High Karate advert, she was. Yes, that's what I read up on. Yeah, she was. Do you remember the High Karate adverts? Oh, wow, those adverts from the 70s. Wow, yeah, brilliant. High Karate, yeah, brilliant. High Karate and Brute. I remember those were the ones that were advertised. They had like Henry Cooper and that going, the great smell of Brute, and High Karate was all that sort of stuff. Brilliant. And then Tony says, yes, David. Next time I go on the pool, I have to buy some High Karate if my wife doesn't mind that. I like that. I'm sure she will. Oh yeah, it possibly has that magnetic effect, you know. If only it did, we'd have all been wearing it and going out, wouldn't we? It never did it? You know, none of these things did. And then Tony says, does Tarantino still make films? Not heard of him for ages. He hasn't made films for quite a while, but he's supposedly. I did see some interview with him, and he said he's going to make 10 films. He said, and he's got 2 more. But I think he was involved in a play or something, and he says he's in no rush. So there we are. That's his plan, and it's all very much typical of him to do that. You know, I think that's how he wants to be seen as a director. That's it. The 10 films, and they're all supposedly up there with great quality. But you know, I say it's a long, 1992 Reservoir Dogs. So it's quite a lot of years now. And then Slipknot says, "Wow, that's good to hear. I've been waiting a long time to see the Punisher and Spider-Man team up in a decent movie. Yeah, it sounds exciting. Yeah, I don't know much about all these comic things, but I do remember there's been 3 Punisher films, and I've got 1, I think, and I quite enjoyed it. So might be interested to see that as a character. Yeah." And Sai says, "Tony, he's always said that he's going to make 10 movies. Yeah, he's got 1 left to go. Once upon a time in Hollywood. Oh, was it? Oh, he's only got. I didn't know that was his 9th. Really, Sai? I didn't know that. I thought he still had 2 more to do. So that was his 9th film. Oh, wow. That's why he's taking so long. Yeah. That explains a lot. If that is his 9th film, I should look. Then, yeah, he's going to stretch out. It could be years yet, couldn't it? I mean, I don't know how old he is, but yeah, that might be a long time yet. Wonder if High Karate is still made. I always preferred Old Spice, of course. Yeah, a bit of Old Spice. I think Old Spice might still be going. And High Karate, I bet, definitely isn't going, but I'm sure Old Spice is, yeah. A bit of Old Spice that gets the old juices going, doesn't it?
It's all kicking off. I got the cat out eventually, and my mum wants another cup of tea before she goes to bed. So I gotta go back in about 10 or 15 minutes.
Right, and the cat's out now. Oh,
the cat's out. Yeah.
Never knew that site. Yeah. And then it says it's really good. Tom Holland's 2nd best outing as the web slinger. Oh, well, that's good. Yeah.
You see, that's the thing. You see, that incites the question: what's the bloody first one then?
Doesn't
it? Well, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. And he says another good thing: the chemistry between Punisher and Spider-Man is brilliant. So,
like I said, I'm gonna know more about it when I go and see it. But like I said, they were never friends really in the early comics.
Yeah,
Volume 1 of Spider-Man, they were never really friends. They respected each other a little bit, know. But the Punisher was a runaway hit.
Yeah.
When he from his very first, that's why that issue. If I want to buy that issue in a high grade, like a grade 7.5, something like that or above, that comic is $4 or $5 grand.
Whew.
If you want to buy it in a rough condition where the front cover is ripped and all of that sort of stuff, it's still £600 or £700.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah, unless you've got the money. If you've got the money, it doesn't matter. But if you haven't, Oh yeah, of course. David says, "I really like the Hateful Eight." Yeah, that's the Western one, isn't it? That Tarantino did.
Wasn't it a Netflix or some? It was.
I know it's a Western. So it's a Western, that one. Yeah.
They're all holed up in a house, aren't they, or a sort of a cabin thing?
Now, the next one is interesting because they've recently released this. It says, "Kill Bill: The Whole Bloody Affair is my favorite Tarantino film." because they've shoved them all together, haven't they? Part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, I've seen somebody do an unboxing as well or something of a big box set for it. I didn't even know it was out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now this is something important that I forgot about. David said he wrote True Romance and Natural Born Killers. True Romance is a brilliant script, isn't it? What a script! So I think it's one of the ones.
And of course the vampire film. Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah, fantastic films. And then Si says, I'd like to see his interpretation of Natural Born Killers because he absolutely detested Oliver Stone's adaptation. Really? I didn't know that.
That was a weird tape that I bought of that because it came in a cardboard box with the 2 tapes sort of like that went in a sort of like a case that opened up at the corners, if you see what I mean. So
yeah,
the Natural Born Killers, if I remember rightly. And it was a very controversial thing to bring out on tape as well, because everybody was saying, I wonder what cuts are in this.
Yes, that got into trouble.
Because there was a head scene, wasn't there, on a spike that was going through the prisons or something.
Got into a lot of trouble. David says, when George Lucas made Star Wars, Del, everyone didn't go out and buy a spaceship.
yeah. That's when we were talking about Quentin Tarantino, wasn't it? And we were talking about
mind you, if I'd have had the money, I would have bought something like the Millennium Falcon toys, all those big toys. Which now you go to a collector's fair, and some of them are massively expensive. So. For a Millennium Falcon.
They're all looking for the Darth Vader with the non-telescopic lightsaber.
All those figures as well. The figures are the first releases. It's always the first releases. They're really collectible, and people are spending a lot of money. And then Tarantino almost made a Star Trek film. I don't know whether it did, but I've heard a lot of rumors about that. I don't know.
I don't know whether he was joking, but I do believe when I saw the interview on it and that was mentioned that he really was a Star Trek fan.
Yes. Yeah.
I just don't know whether it's really true that whether he was just joking, said, "Oh yeah, I was going to make a Star Trek film, but I didn't get around."
I think they kept quiet about it. All the Star Trek people.
What I am pissed off about really is how Paramount treating the 60th anniversary at the moment. I think it's pretty poor.
Oh yeah, that pitiful re-release yet again of the original series, which every Star Trek fan has already got on Blu-ray.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all they've done.
I actually finally got round to watching 2 episodes of Starfleet Academy.
Oh, did you? Go on then. What's it? What is it as bad?
It's bad. It's bad, but it isn't Discovery last season bad.
Oh right.
It's just that how can you really hold an interest when it's set in an academy in San Francisco about a kid that's looking for his mother all the way through the whole of the season? But I will say this: the first episode had a battle sequence where they were heading towards San Francisco, and there was a big dilemma in the fact that the ship could blow up. Right, that was interesting. And the second one was about betazoids coming back into the Starfleet fold after being out for 100 years. And there's a sort of like a love interest between this kid, that was really starting to annoy me because he ain't a kid anymore. He looks like he's 20-something years old and built like a brick shit house, right? And I must admit that the doctor annoys me
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't think. I
he
didn't think.
would.
I didn't think
Yeah,
that Richard Picardo, or whatever his name is, would ever annoy me. But I am him singing
Robert
opera. Nah,
Picardo. Yeah,
that singing opera and all that sort of shit. Nah,
it's too much. Actually, I always thought in Voyager, they had to keep him restrained, and that was better because it's almost like the writers really wanted to center a lot on him. Which he did get his own episodes, didn't he? I mean, at
Yeah,
first he was a great novelty character, but I wonder whether they've overdone him. I think,
yeah.
yeah, I think he's a bit overdone.
I'm not
Yeah,
enamored by Holly Hunter, and I usually
no,
like her.
nobody was.
I'm not.
No,
She's all right, but she's.
no,
It's just weird seeing her sit in a captain's chair with her shoes taken off and sitting with her feet
yeah,
on the actual seat and all of this sort of
yeah.
stuff.
It doesn't look very. Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah. But
So
imagine,
I just thought she
yeah,
was being a bit disrespectful, to be quite honest.
imagine what Captain Picard would have thought.
Yeah.
He would have been
It was a
really
bit
appalled.
disrespectful. And the rest is really getting to know these kids that I didn't really
Care about.
find one that I
Yeah,
was interested in.
yeah, yeah,
If you haven't
yeah,
got one that is that's your favorite, that you're going, oh, I want to see more of this one, and
yeah,
oh, I didn't like that episode because she was only in it for 15 seconds
yeah,
or whatever it is, then you haven't got a series because you rely on seeing your favorites
yeah.
a
You
little
can
bit.
see why
You
it
know what I
got
mean?
cancelled then. An
Well, yeah.
audience didn't watch
I
it.
I mean,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I just think it's bad that you've got a whole season that runs through from the beginning to end of this kid that's now grown up
mm,
looking for his mum.
yeah, yeah.
That doesn't sound even if I wrote that down, it doesn't sound
It
exciting.
doesn't sound very inspiring, does it? It doesn't sound inspiring at all.
You know what I
Anyhow,
mean?
and then Slipknot says, I've only seen Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man films. I need to catch up on Garfield and Holland's. I do plan on seeing this one at the cinema. Do you think it works without knowing prior films? Oh yeah, I would imagine it. I imagine it does.
Well, that's going
Yeah,
to be that's going to be a spoiler-free answer
yeah,
because you don't need to know whether this film needs you to watch the other three Holland films. But I will say this: it starts off with everybody mind wiped,
mm,
so I should think it's a jumping on point.
yeah, yeah. That was a very sort of sad ending, wasn't it? The mind
Yeah.
wipe. It was extremely sad, really. Powerful, in a way, a very powerful way to end it, but very sad. And then Sai says, I'd recommend that you see the first three Tom Holland films. There's a link to them. Oh, all right.
Well, there is. I mean, you
yeah,
think about it. He starts off, and then in the second one, he's on a trip and he's trying to get in touch. He's trying to sort of like entice MJ in, and the third one is the death of his aunt and him moving into more adulthood. So there is a path, is what I would say.
Yeah.
And I know this because I've seen them quite a few times. But as I told you at the beginning of this, I watched them all this week.
Yeah.
Far From Home gets a bad rep. No Way Home gets a really, really good rep. But I consider that film to be more fan service than film.
Mm. Yeah.
Because it's like, the dream of getting all of the different Spider-Mans into one film, right?
Yeah.
And some people even said that it was a gimmick.
Yeah.
But it was done so well. It's you can't ignore the fact that it made $1.5 billion. And the second film only made 850 million. So that's a huge jump.
Yeah.
Right? Huge jump.
Yeah.
The third one I think a lot of people class as being good, but there's not much growth, I think, in Peter Parker and Spider-Man in that one. you know, a lot of joking about his Peter Tingle in the second film and all of this sort of stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a good film, and I really enjoyed the third one.
Yeah.
It's just that I can watch the second one more times than I can the third one. The third one is a fan service thing that I know I'd get bored with if I watched it too many times. Because you've got all those villains, and you've got the free Spider-Man, and you've got it's a busy film. You know, I much prefer the menace of a singular Mysterio.
Yeah.
Than that. But it is a fantastic film. Yeah, it is. I would say, yeah, that is a good Tom Holland one.
Si says, I'd love to see Tarantino make a slasher film. Sounds interesting, but I don't know whether that would ever happen. I don't know. I don't know. Is he into horror or that kind of stuff? I don't know. And then so it says, oh wow, that's a lot to binge watch. Yeah. And then so it says, you'll have fun watching them. Yeah. Well, that's what it's all about. Yeah. And then David said, I bought the Terminator and the Wanderers from W.H. Smith's back in the day. Oh, yeah.
I better go see if I can get my mum into bed. So
yeah. I remember the excitement of getting the Terminator on DVD, going to Smith's to get that. And I was just so excited because I think Terminator is always the one that I think is the best. The first one is bad. I mean, the second one gets all the praise and everybody goes on about Terminator 2, but the original one I really like. And I remember the excitement of getting it on DVD. And then the extras, there were a stack of extras on it. Oh, it was wonderful. And I still miss that a lot, really, about the extras. You know, some you get good extras, but some they're not very good, are they? I never consider a film trailer as an extra. It's just laziness. Well, it's nice to see a film trailer, but just that is the extras. Then that's a bit poor. You want to see a lot more. I do anyhow. So Tony says, not doing too good in the new incarnation of Jones. So I've heard. Interesting though. And Tony says, sorry, did you say something, Del? I was engrossed in the middle of the Twilight Zone episode. Right. Yes. And then Simon says, I binged Widow's Bay over the weekend. I couldn't recommend series anymore. It's really good. I couldn't recommend a series anymore. It really is good. Good writing, acting, and directing. It's only in the first series, 10 episodes, and it's been renewed. Well, that's good. Crikey. Sounds great. And then Si says, it's on Apple TV. I knew there'd be a problem because Apple TV never release anything on physical media, or very few things. And there's been a lot of good series, hasn't there, on Apple TV? It's so bad that they don't release much. And David said, yeah, Rod Serling died young, didn't he, Del? So we've been robbed. Just think of what he would have done. Yeah, I know. It is sad. So young. I think he wasn't quite a heavy smoker. I think he may well have died of lung cancer. I just seem to remember he was quite a heavy smoker. I read somewhere, which is very sad. Yeah, because you see him smoking quite a lot in the some of the introductions and stuff that he does. Tony says the bar in Carter where Michael Caine goes in, real spit and sawdust one. Oh yes, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, very good. Get Carter, great film. David says, I watched I Want to Eat Your Pancreas the other week. A very good anime, very moving. Sorry, I was just the title is an interesting title. Yeah, but yeah, anime is so popular. I wish I could get into it more. Maybe I don't know. I haven't seen that much. I've got that Akira, which I know Jamie sent me, which I watched and enjoyed on DVD. Yeah, that's good. And Tony says, got the 4K of X the Unknown today. All right, yeah. My first big box Hammer release, very nicely presented. Yeah, it does look good. It looks excellent, doesn't it? Yeah. And Tony says that's a fun watch. Digby, Spike Milligan as a wacky scientist, got that on DVD too. Spike Milligan, yeah, I'm sure he would be very wacky. He was nuts. He's absolute nuts, wasn't he? Slipknot says there's an interview of Quentin Tarantino explaining his dislike for natural born killers. Oh. But one day he met Johnny Cash and his wife, who told him Natural Born Killers is one of their favorite films. Cash is Quentin Tarantino's hero, so it helped change his outlook on it. That's interesting, isn't it? How somebody can change that. Yeah, I think that's a really good story. Johnny Cash. Wow. Yeah, he's not with us, is he now, sadly? Johnny Cash. Quite a big life, sort of larger than life figure he was, Johnny Cash. And then, so he says, Condom Man is Citizen Kane compared to Digby. That's a good description. You have to put that up there, yeah. And then, as Tony says, I love Digby. Oh yeah. Wish there was a blue, and I'd send the DVD to Dell just to annoy him. Yeah, that would be a good one. You could get a Condom Man in there. We'd be really happy. A Manimal. Yeah, all there for him to enjoy. He can put it with the live Snow White one that he don't like talking about. Oh dear. And then it's laughing there. And then Morbius was a Spider-Man baddie, wasn't he? Yes, I know that much, and that's about it. Definitely, that's the bit I know. And Tony says, all I can see is a cat's tail, no body. I know it's it sounded a little bit spooky, isn't it? You know, a cat's tail moving without the body. Do you mean Valerie wasn't quite as an outstanding Hammer actress as one like Madeline Smith here? Yes. I think you've got the yeah. Her parts were bigger to put. No, but I did. I think she was very beautiful. I still liked her. I still liked her a lot. I think she was very nice. Definitely very nice in it. Yeah. A bit of class. She was classy. Yes, David Morbius is in the Spider-Verse, and Sai says, No Way Home is Tom Holland's best Spider-Man film, in my honest opinion. Yeah, let's have a look. And yeah, did anyone see the standing ovation that Rick Moranis got at Comic-Con at the weekend? It was absolutely brilliant. He almost brought a tear. Wow, I didn't. That's interesting. Yeah, because didn't he? He retired, didn't he? He retired, and then he appeared, didn't he, in the Mel Gibson film again, didn't he? I think he appeared in that recent one that they, the spoof one that they did. Yeah, that is that's it. He was a very well loved actor, comedian, and I can understand that totally. It was. I can really understand that. Yeah. I've got. I was going to say I've got to end a comment. I've to say, have anybody got any more comments? Anything you want to say or ask? Please put them down. Any comments? Yeah. Any questions? Anything? Your opinions about things? And then he's making a that's it, Spaceballs too. That's it. That's the one I was trying to think of. Yeah, it's a comeback, isn't it? It's good, isn't it? Is it? It's interesting that there's people making comebacks, because I think a lot of people, particularly like with Jim Carrey, were really pleased that he's appeared in those Sonic films. It's like we thought he sort of went away. It's like he didn't want anything to do with acting, and that happens. I think that can happen. That people just suddenly think, actors, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. Not all actors are obsessed with acting. Oh, they may not just get any jobs. You've got to get a job as well. Sometimes actors do fall out of favor, or they'll end up probably having to go on Netflix or direct to video films, or maybe well, I don't know, mini series, they could do that. These things that they used to do, but nowadays there is more opportunities for them, and actors do fall out of favor for some reason. I don't know. They've got their own personal reasons why they don't want to do anymore. I think Jim Carrey must have just had enough. He must have just had enough. Definitely must have had enough. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He retired from acting after his wife died to look after his children. Well, that's what you do. I could understand that totally. You would. There'd be even no question whatsoever about that. That's why he did it. Yeah, I can totally understand that. I mean, you've got no choice, and that's what he would do. But it's good that he has come back. Yeah, very good.
Hang on a minute, I've just missed something. It says here, did anyone see the standing ovation that Rick Moranis got?
That's right.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned in my diary that there was it was the San Diego Comic Con this week, and one of the nicest things was the Spaceballs reunion.
Yeah,
because obviously I'm a big Spaceballs fan, even if again Barry Norman hated that film. Oh my God, he ridiculed it, saying it was nowhere near the satire of Young Frankenstein, and in many ways it wasn't, right? But it was far better than Robin Hood Men in Tights and all of that. But Rick Moranis was in the audience dressed up as Darth Vader, right? And they were going around this crowd going, Rick Moranis, he was behind us at one point. I don't know what's going on and all this sort of stuff. And then they were going into the audience and he was there with his helmet on. And then he was sort of like carted off, and he came back on and he said that had never been to one of these types of comic cons before. And yet they said, but your whole world is you in Nerdsville, with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and all of this sort of stuff. Never was a truer word said. I'm not a big fan of Kevin Smith's sort of like commentary, you know, when he's trying to interview people. But I also thought it was a very good panel compared to some of the panels that were there. But yeah, Spaceballs was a highlight. Yeah, and it was Rick Moranis. He doesn't look that different. You can see the age, but he weren't that different. He was still the Rick Moranis that we know, if you see what I mean. He said, I did the movie, he said, because I got sick of everybody texting me saying, when am I bloody going to be in this film? He said. No, just to shut people up.
Yeah.
I did the film and all of that sort of stuff. But the jokes sort of like were a bit weak, you know, they combed the audience, you know, all of that sort of stuff because of the combing of the desert, you know what I mean? With these big combs, you know. It was a bit oh, that's a bit poor. But yeah, it's going to be interesting watching that film with Joan Rivers dead and John Candy dead, and you know, we don't know whether plain yogurt is going to be there. Yogurt the great, yogurt the wise. No, just plain yogurt. Yeah, it's if it's got that type of humor in it, I'll like it. You know what I mean? May the Schwartz be with you. All of that. It was fun.
I'm sure they will. They'll come.
And of course, it was ingenious, the bit about let's watch the film, and they showed all the bits that had been up to it, and then they got to the bit that was now.
Yeah,
they were looking at the camera going, "What's now? We're in now. Oh, we're in now." Like this. That was ingenious. I thought. Yeah. Well, that was brilliant. President Screw, you know, all of that. There's a lot of stuff in it. I like.
Yeah. Tony says, "Oh yeah, it looks like an early bath." Eddie Waring, don't mention Stuart Hall. No, don't mention Stuart Hall. But Eddie Waring, we can do. Yeah, it's a knockout and rugby league.
Were you a fan of it? Were you a fan of It's a Knockout?
Sometimes it was. I don't know really. Yeah, sometimes I was, but I wouldn't say I was a massive fan. But I watched it. You know what I mean? I sort of watched it.
See, being 40 years your junior.
Yeah. Junior, cheeky monkey.
I really liked it because I was of that age where seeing people dressed up in foam bloody outfits and couldn't pick up the thing when they were, was brilliant. But I tell you, the episodes I didn't like was when they had the royal family in it and all of that.
Oh yeah, that was crap.
I thought if you could do, and then they did ones where they were in France and that.
Yes, that was better. I was going to say, in fact, I liked those better. I think it was good when they travelled around Europe. They went around Europe to various places. It was good. It was a bit of fun.
It's an interesting concept, isn't it? Watching people in big foam outfits carrying custard pies or something, trying to get on a running travelator that's going around in a circle.
It had its own character, and I think that maybe was its selling point.
Yeah,
and I know we're not supposed to say this, but Stuart Hall did actually seem to be enjoying it.
Oh, he was laughing all the time, and he went, "Oh, he's fell over again."
But what can we do? What can we do about it?
And then they brought the scoreboard in, and you went, "How are we going to score this?"
Yeah. Oh, and you had the Joker. You could play, couldn't you? Get double
play
points.
The Joker, yeah.
You played that. Yeah, it was a tradition on BBC for a few years.
Yeah.
Right. And then Si says, "Tony, our phone has told us it's time to go to bed." No. It's because comments were getting a bit low. And then Tony says, "We couldn't have one of those delightful questions such as favorite 10 films from each year from 1930 to 2025. We don't get them anymore, but I know, well, one time we were getting that kind of question, but I'll say no about person.
I'm glad
Yeah.
that we've got a sophisticated audience enough not to ask us questions like who would win a fight between flipping Freddy Krueger and
Yeah.
blah 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 and all of that sort of stuff. Because I must admit, when I was doing the chat stuff,
Yeah.
I got fed up with all of those sort of questions. I cringed every time.
Versus so and so versus so and so, and yeah. Oh yeah, and also sometimes those ones about which actors would you put in this order and which order and this order, and it gets a bit, I don't know. And then Si says it's not done that yet, but has advised me to take a break twice. Oh, you phone. Have a break. Have a Kit Kat. Yeah.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Yeah. Have a cup of tea. Yeah. Quickly go and put kettle on. As it said, have a break. Oh, somebody, I didn't see that. They've thought exactly the same. Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Anyway, I fell out with Si. I'm just scrolling up. Condor Man is Citizen Kane compared to Digby. Sacrilege. Condor Man is a piece of shit compared to Digby. Digby is a far better film. What the hell? Where did he get that comment? He's only doing it to entice me into an argument. That's what that is. This guy, Rod Serling, died young. Yeah, he did. He wasn't young, but obviously his 40 smokes a day habit killed him eventually.
Yeah,
I remember that. He did a lot of. This is where I wish I'd have been over in America when he was alive. He went around a lot of campuses talking about how to get into TV script writing and all of that sort of stuff, and the best way to write a screenplay or a short story, and what things that you need to do to make a script work, and all of that sort of stuff. I think I'd have been engrossed if I'd have been at one of those talks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, it's a very sad loss.
It is. Yeah, definitely. Tony says, talking of technology, Morrison's have launched an AI trolley today in their Preston store as a pilot to test it. Saw a YouTube video. It weighs loose fruit, etc., and totals how much you owe. Then you scan it on an AI trolley, and it as a checkout to pay. The tablets on the trolley will get stolen if they don't keep them inside overnight.
Well, I think that's an incredibly poor use of AI.
Yeah, and
when you consider that you can go into a Sainsbury's, and you pick up a gun that you scan your barcodes with, and the onus is on you. Would you really seriously trust AI to get the weight of these things correct? And it then turns around when you get to the point to pay that you trust it says that you need to pay 112 quid. Seriously? Exactly. Right? Yeah. At least I can scan the barcode, see it come up and go, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
An AI thing that says, oh yeah, I know what you put in your trolley. No.
Yeah. He says, yes, it's genuine. Si watched a YouTube short with a guy going around the store.
It pisses me off because I don't even like these smart fridges. The ones that order from Amazon milk when you're down to half a bottle or something.
Oh my, really?
It dials out and orders it for you.
What if you don't want any milk?
It recognizes that you're down to half a bottle or something, and it recognizes that your fruit's going bad. So basically, it orders you some fresh fruit to replace all the bad ones and all this bollocks.
Yeah,
I mean, they've even got washing machines that Bluetooth to your phone and tell you when the washing's been done and all this sort of stuff. What a bad use of technology! Do you really seriously need?
Yeah.
Apparently, some bigwigs, right? This made me laugh. When these smart fridges came out, they said, "Yeah, but can these smart fridges play Doom?" Right, the game Doom, right? The Doom as a game was so up there that they said only a PC could run it, right? And it enticed everybody to say, "Oh no, I can make this work on anything." They got a smart fridge playing Doom, right? That's how much technology is in it, right? That a game that was written in 1992 that was pinnacle, and you had to have a killer PC that cost you nearly $2,000 to play it. Your fridge can play it.
Wow, that's really useful.
Do you know what I mean? I said, look at the technology that was put man on the moon. Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, the batteries up there lasted 3 or 4 days, and to be quite honest, I haven't got a phone that can last a day on charge. Right? Don't take your mobile phone to the moon, because I tell you what, it'd be dead by the time you get into orbit. Right? They had better battery technology back in 1969 than they do now. This is where I'm saying technology's an ass a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then Sai says, yeah, It's a Royal Knockout is regarded as one of the worst episodes of TV ever. Yeah, I've seen in the top 10 countdowns. Yeah, sometimes
I can tell you that I weren't a fan. I'd rather watch Mike Reed shouting "Run Around Now" than watch that. Does anybody remember Mike Reed and the TV program Run Around?
Mike Reed. Oh God. Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I think that is considered definitely one of the worst things. With that other thing, that what's his name? What was his name? Where they all went nude on Channel 5. Who was that presenter who used to knock at people's doors?
Keith Chegwin.
That's it, Keith Chegwin. That's considered one of the worst all-time worst programs.
The thing about the Royal Knockout is they didn't need to dress up, did they? They all looked bloody idiots, didn't they?
Yeah.
You know, they'd turn up and they'd say, "You don't have to put your outfit on yet." That's what I'd be saying.
Was Prince Andrew there? It was Edward, wasn't it? It wasn't Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
If Prince Andrew would have been there, you wouldn't have seen him because he'd have been behind the props.
One of the character shows of Princess Anne was her big teeth, wasn't it? She used to have a so because they used to say that she looked like her horses, didn't she?
She did that series, A Question of Sport, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
On that. Yeah.
I didn't mind the Royals on that, actually.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Tony says, I remember that with Princess Anne and Prince Edward. Yeah. What can we say? Prince Edward asking the press, "Did you not enjoy it?" Oh. And then Slipknot says, "Which actor or actress were you surprised to learn that were related to other well-known stars?" Mine is Virginia Marsden, Michael's sister, and Lisa Zane, Billy's sister, who starred in Freddy's Dead. Yeah, there is that of surprise.
I didn't know that Telly Savalas was related to that lady in Friends. What's her name?
Which one? I don't really watch. I've never watched Friends really. So
I've forgotten her name.
I do know names of actors, but I don't watch Friends.
Yeah, you know, I'm talking about Ross's girlfriend. What's her name? Rachel. But anyway, she's the niece of Telly Savalas, isn't she?
Oh, right.
I didn't know that. There's probably a few that I could probably. Jennifer Aniston. There you are. That was her name.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big Friends lover, you know.
No,
I mean, I watched it and I
yeah.
enjoyed
You
it
see,
the
I
first time I
didn't.
saw it,
But
but
it was,
then
to be fair to it, it's one of those programs that was talked about a lot. It was quite a big thing, but I never watched it. It just wasn't me. But it was a big thing, wasn't it?
well, it
Like,
was.
go on about Friends,
It's the same with the Big Bang Theory. You couldn't move for the bloody repeats of the Big Bang Theory
and
going
then
on, and
it's just
everybody watched
now,
marathons
yeah,
of it. And
yeah.
me being a nerd, I watched it, but I got so sick of it after a while
I did.
because
I
they
got
kept
fed up. I
rerunning it and
agree.
rerunning it and rerunning it and rerunning it, and it was like bloody hell. There's about 10 episodes shown
Yeah,
back to back every day for about 3 months, and you just
yeah,
go, "Nah, I'm sorry." They don't
yeah.
even do that with
Bit
Frasier.
over, didn't it?
At least they
Yeah,
only put 2 episodes on a day. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah. Because sometimes they repeat the same episodes, don't they? On some
Oh,
channels, they show the first one early in the morning, and then later on they repeat that episode again. What's the point of that? I don't.
yeah, they do that. Yeah, they put it on in the morning, then they show it again in the afternoon, then they'll show it again at night.
Yeah.
You're just
What's
going,
the
what?
point of all that? Ah. Oh dear. And now, it says Warren Beatty and Shirley MacLaine, brother and sister. Wow, I didn't know that. I
No, I
didn't know
didn't.
that one. Wow, they're brother and sister. Oh, wow. And then Gomez Adams from the '60s show is Sean Austin's father. That blew my mind. The '60s Adams family. I vaguely remember it.
Yeah,
Uh,
you know
yeah.
who Gomez Adams is, don't you? I mean, yeah.
He's the married to in the he's the father, isn't he? In Adams family.
And Adam's
Yeah.
Family Values and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I must admit, I know the films were quite popular, but the one I watched them once, and that was it. I think I didn't feel repeat watching of them. Actually, that's very well done. Is it Angelica Houston?
Yeah.
She's very good. She is good. I must admit, but I don't know. And the bloke died, didn't he? Who played her husband in it?
Yeah,
Gomez.
Gomez Adams.
Yeah. Who was the actor?
I've
He
forgotten
died.
now.
Oh. Is it Raul Julian or somebody? Something like that.
I tell you the one thing I didn't know. I didn't know that Clint Eastwood likes sometimes to put his sons in his films.
Yes, I read something about that somewhere.
He,
Yeah.
in Gran Turismo, he had his son in the
Mm,
film.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There was an interview with him, and he turned around and he said, "I don't think my dad likes me in my films because there was a scene where he was shouting expletives at me, you know, like he does in his character,
Yeah.
and I swear he put in a few new ones, and they were all aimed at me." That was good. I can't think though of many right now off the top of my head. I can't think of many relationships, you know, where did you know that this young actress is a
Yeah.
distant cousin of this and all of that sort of stuff. I can't think at the moment. It's an interesting question, though, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, father and son relationships. We've got Kirk Douglas and Michael Douglas.
Yeah, but these are talking about people like you would never guess that Jennifer Aniston is related to Telly Savalas. You know what I mean? We're talking those sort of things.
Yeah, that's true. Sean Austin, as in the Goonies and Lord of the Rings. Oh, I don't know.
No.
And then Slipknot says, "Yeah, well, that's nuts. Never knew this either."
Oh, he was that Sean Austin was talking
Yeah,
about that earlier thing where he said that they were related to each other.
yeah.
Blew his mind. Yeah.
Si says, I know. I found out a few months ago.
Yeah.
And Tony says, I remember Mike Reed in The Comedians and running the Queen Vic in EastEnders. Yeah, he's dead now, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's quite a few years ago.
Run Around, I think, was my first experience of Mike Reed.
Yeah. And then Si says, I've got a Run Around t-shirt. There you are. And then,
you want to get it washed then?
Yeah. And then Si says, Jennifer Aniston. That's it. Yeah, we're on about this. Yeah. David says, when you said about who would win in a fight, I often wondered which Bond villain is the toughest. That's an interesting one.
I mean, I must admit, I always thought the villain in Goldfinger, not actually the main villain, but the Odd Job or whatever.
Odd Job, yeah, with his hat.
I thought he was pretty tough. I mean, you could tell pretty much that if he hadn't electrocuted him, he was pretty much going to destroy Bond. He was punching him and he was doing nothing. He just smiled at you and went, "Yeah, go on, do it again."
So if he was fighting Jaws,
Jaws was another one.
Jaws, yeah. I think
but with Jaws, you see, he still was getting the upper hand, but with Odd Job, you just knew really that he wasn't even knocking him over. It's almost like he had he could, he had perfect balance. He wasn't going to get knocked over or anything. You punched him in the stomach and you were just going to hurt your hand. It was like might as well be punching a brick wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why he relied on that hat, I don't know. Because he could have just bloody killed him with a punch.
I think it was just as a gimmick, that hat, really, in the film. I think it just looked good. They thought, oh, that looks good. And then Robert Shaw in From Russia with Love. All right. And David says, Si, brilliant answer. Red Grant, he was tough. And then Slipknot says, just did a quick check. Turns out John Austin is Sean's adoptive father. His biological father is a music promoter named Michael Tell. Oh, no. There you are. And then Tony says, Odd Job, or perhaps his bowler hat was harder. These are Goldfinger.
Yeah.
And then Slipknot, I never knew that. And then David says, Bruce Glover, one of the gay assassins in Diamonds.
Oh, wow.
Is Crispin Glover's dad. Really?
Wow, I didn't know. That is
that's a real trivia question, isn't it? That's real.
I think it's a very good. I just wish I had a good answer.
Yeah, but that is actually a superb bit of yeah, definitely. Let's have a look. And Slipknot says, Raul, this is it. Julia is the movie version of Gomez. He was also M.
Bison in Street Fighter
with Van Damme. Oh yeah, I do remember.
Have you ever watched that film?
I have. I know why I watched it
with Kylie Minogue.
That's why I watched it. That's the only reason I watched it.
Bloody awful.
Oh dear. Because I wouldn't have bothered with that film, but I thought, oh, Kylie's in it. I'll just see what she's like in it.
Yeah, then you wish you hadn't.
The film. Yeah, what can I say? Van Damme. He looked. He's acting.
I haven't seen a film that bad since I saw Hulk Hogan do Tropical Thunder or something. You know what I mean? You know that speedboat film, whatever he was in. It was bloody awful. Hulk Hogan, Jesus. Again, sadly missed Hulk Hogan. He's dead, isn't he? I mean, he's gone now.
He was popular though, wasn't he?
He was.
Hogan. He's one of those people that were very popular. And he was quite old, wasn't he? Still doing his wrestling. Really quite old.
He was shamed a number of times, and for some of the things they had done.
Oh, was he up to stuff?
But he is in the Wrestling Hall of Fame, and that's why and a fan favorite, which is why he always came back.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Oh well. I don't know much about wrestling, but
I only know. I mean, I used to watch it with giant haystacks.
Yeah.
And Big Daddy and
my son. Sort of at one time, it was quite interesting because at school, kids were all into wrestling. And I remember my son watched some of it, and there was what's his name? There was Dwayne Johnson, wasn't there, as a Rock, and somebody else. Oh, another one. I forgot.
You see, when I talk about wrestling, I know that I didn't watch a lot of the early wrestling stuff because we didn't have Sky. We had Sky B. We had the Squarial that then Sky bought and turned it into BSB.
Yeah.
So when the only reason I know of those early wrestling matches is because of the Giant. What's his name? Something Andre the Giant, who was in Princess Bride. Which made me go and have a look and see what this wrestling was all about. And apparently the very first televised show ended with a championship match between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, which I think Hulk Hogan won, if I remember rightly. I then found out that Rowdy Roddy Piper was in it.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I started to get interested in it again because I'd seen They Live, and I went, "Oh, right, he's a wrestler, is he? All right,
yeah,
all this sort of stuff." I then watched it because of somebody called The Undertaker.
That's right. I remember him. Yeah,
and we had an English guy in it called Unions Jack or something. I can't remember, but he was a British guy. And then I didn't watch any more. So when Dwayne Johnson and all this came in, I only knew of them and never watched it. And I still don't watch it now.
No.
It's on late at night on ITV and stuff like that.
Yeah. Is it still the same people who control it?
That's the thing. There's so many factions. WWE, WWF.
It was a family controlled it. Vince Mahone or somebody.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. They controlled it, didn't they? And they were then having break.
I think they still do the same formula, which is trash talking at the back.
That's right.
In these sort of like interviews, and then they sort of get them in the ring, and they then suddenly invade the ring, and they have a fight that isn't even a fight because it's not been sanctioned. And then
they have the hardcore stuff, what they called hardcore, weren't they? Where they were getting tables and slamming tables over them. And
I love the film The Wrestler, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, that's his comeback film, isn't it? That he did well. I've not seen it though.
You haven't seen that with Melissa Tomei as a stripper?
Well, I might have done. I just don't remember it that well. I think I might have seen it.
I reckon it's because you like watching breasts or something. You probably saw those things.
Yeah, I nearly said it. I nearly did that joke again that we've been doing. She got a big part in it.
Yeah.
Right. And then wasn't the actor who played Oddjob an Olympic judo champion? He could well have been. I don't know.
Possibly. He didn't look like judo material, more like sumo material.
Yeah.
But I can see him.
Yeah. Science is talking of celebrity siblings. Bill Pullman and his son Lewis Pullman are starring in Spaceballs 2 as father and son.
Yeah.
There you are. a bit more Spaceballs. And then what else we got here? Thunder in Paradise.
Oh, that was the speedboat thing with the Hulk Hogan thing. It wasn't Tropical Thunder; it was Thunder in Paradise. Remember, I can't quite remember the names of these things. I just know it was a speedboat thing, and it was bloody awful. Oh
dear.
I've got so many good films I could watch, and yet I'm Thunder in Paradise of films that I've seen, and I'm just going, Christ, why can't I get rid of the images of those and watch some of these better ones?
Rosa Klebb was a hard woman in From Russia with Love.
Mm.
And Si says, did she have the knife boot?
Oh, the knife that comes out of the boot shoes.
She might have done, might she?
Yeah, I think she was.
And Tony says, yes, Si, it was a knife boot.
It was a spring-loaded knife, and it's a bit like if you watch Spider-Man, this new Spider-Man film, there's always this clip of Spider-Man fighting someone called the Tarantula. He's got spikes in his shoes dipped in poison. But what you have to understand about it is if you're going to leap at someone, that means your toes have got to be pointing forward to hit somebody. Have you ever tried doing that?
No, I couldn't. Not with my feet.
It's such a hard thing to do that you'd go, that in a superpower. Jesus Christ, I'd rather have a knife in my hand than having them in my boots. Christ. You know what I mean? The only place you're going to kick them is in the arse.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. I
mean. Tony says, that was the last comment.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. We've got to the end. People are saying thank heavens for that. So we're at the end now, and we got. Let's just say good night. All thanks. Tony says good. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah. Nobody tested me on my Spider-Man knowledge. I'm a bit disappointed.
No. We did have a bit of Spider-Man talk, but we didn't want to give it away too much, did they?
No.
About the film, which
I'm definitely trying. I was saying to Ian, by the way, just so everybody knows, it's difficult for me to get to the cinema, but I did tell my sister that I'm going to look to see if I can find a showing that's on between. I don't know what I said. I said between 9:30 and 1.
Mm.
If I can find a studio that's actually doing that, that's very close by, I could, because it's a 2-hour 25-minute film from what I know.
Yeah.
And I've got to get there and I've got to get back. And the reason for it is my sister's got to come in, get my mum all cleaned up with me. Then I've got to leave her, go and watch the film. 2.5 hours later, get back, and then change my mum at 1 o'clock. So I've only got a short period of time.
Yeah.
But I do believe cinemas do show films early on, so I might get a chance. But
hopefully, fingers crossed that you will. And then Si says, "Nighty night, guys. Salute to Delboy and see you later, Ian. And the obligatory shout out to Mrs. Del. Thank you, Si.
Yeah, who's now finally gone to sleep."
So, as I say, thank you everybody that's still watching and has contributed with comments and all those. Just watch, and hopefully you enjoy it. We enjoy it. We come back every week for more and more. We absolutely love it. Yeah, and then David says, "Great night again. Thank you. Night. Thank you, David, for joining us.
Thanks, David. And I hope you get to enjoy some of these great films that you've been telling us that you've been buying these last couple of weeks. I've been dead jealous.
Yeah.
Some of the titles you were coming out with were absolutely outstanding. Fantastic. So
Thank you.
I mean, Tony York's is just a git, and so's Cy, so we won't ever talk about them.
Yeah, and yeah, thank you everybody that's been with us, and we've enjoyed it, and we'll be back again next week, episode 119. It'll be, so we're still here. Oh, wait a minute, we've got a bit more here. Slim said, I used to think Odd Job on Sub-Zero from The Running Man were the same actor, but it's two different actors. Odd Job played by Harold Sakata, and Sub-Zero played by Toro Tanaka. Oh, right.
Yeah, I suppose I didn't get them mixed up because of the years between the two films.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Slipknot says, see you later. Well, thank you for joining us anyhow.
No, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure when Slipknot, not everybody comes in. Absolutely fantastic.
Every week we look forward to it, and so we'll be here again next week.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just people like Tony York's that got shares in Royal Mail that I have a problem with, you know what I mean?
So I'd just like to say a farewell then, as normal.
Oh, so it's goodbye from me.
And it's good night from him.
Good night. We're supposed to say that together and you still get it wrong.
Yeah.
But anybody who knows me knows I love Frankie Howard in Up Pompeii and all that. And he always used to say, salute. So that's where that comes from. Thank you very much, guys. And for all your support to my mum. Thank you. So from the bottom of my heart with that.
And all I've got to say is, I'll see you again. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you next week. See you next week.
See you next week.